I'd like to call the Parks and Recreation Committee to order. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clark.
Here.
Easter.
Here.
Kern.
Here.
Lopes-Serraro is absent and excused. Tetro.
Here. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as given out.
Second.
I second.
Approval by Scott, second by Roger, third by Katrina. Public comments.
Well, you have to take a vote. All those in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Approval passes. Any public comments?
We just have Jody, staff and committee members online. And Jimmy, we can take yours under number 7 if that's okay. Okay, then I think we're good.
Okay. Any written comments? No. All right, number 7, update on Kennedy Park renovations and capital campaign.
So there is an update in the packet. The largest item to note on the renovation actually was the installation of the structural steel was completed the week of Christmas. So it just needs the roof panels installed, which is a different contractor than the ones that did the structural steel. So we don't have a timeline necessarily on the install of the roofs at this point. So capital campaign, brief update on some of the items that they've received. They did apply and receive 2 grants for a total of $15,000, and then some other individual donations. They have a fundraiser. They have a wiffle ball fundraiser on the 28th of February, and then their turf tournament is scheduled the 20th to the 22nd. There also is a updated year-end update from the Community Foundation on what's remaining in the fund, which is the last item under the capital campaign, which is the $55,435. And then I know the donation from Merrill Iron and Steel was in the process when they sent the update to us. So I did also include flyers for the events, and then we received a banner today that we'd like to install at Kennedy Park for the next month or so prior to their little tournament, promoting it. And I think it was 22 to 24 teams.
Yeah, we're over 24 teams now.
Yeah.
Jimmy, do you want to come up, give a name and address and any additional for?
Sure. Jimmy Olafson, 5503 Winding Creek Drive, Weston. So I'm very excited about the Glow tournament. We keep saying it's a tournament, but it's more of just a get together. Tons of raffle baskets, 24 plus teams. Where we have a lot of business donations willing to jump out and schedule teams. We're now trying to match kids, teenagers with teams and try to make that all work. So so definitely help us get the word out. There's going to be 50 plus raffle baskets plus things like baseball bats and other things to be raffled off. And then, but there's a DJ, there is games, there's on top of the wiffle ball tournament. So we're very, very excited, very hopeful that this is going to be a really good step in the right direction. This is being paired with a fundraiser for sextortion education and a scholarship fund for Braden Bone, who has passed. So we will also have a table set up from not sure if it's the FBI or is part shared responsibility from the Wausau Police Department. So we'll have a table with more information and information for parents and information for kids. So we're going full steam ahead, and it's getting closer here. Any questions?
The only question I have is, do you have a cutoff on the amount of people?
We do, yeah, we're getting close to limiting the number of teams. We'll still talk to to businesses about if you wanna donate, but we really have a limit on teams, because we have really about, 4 o'clock to midnight to try and play as many games as we can, so we'll try to smush as much as we can in there.
Are the rules different in wiffle ball? Like, would you play for a different score?
Yeah, I mean, so we kind of challenge some of the high school kids to come up with some of Braden's friends to come up with some different rules and different ways that we could also, get a few extra dollars out of the games here or there. Things like if you pay extra money, the other team has to not use a wiffle ball bat, they have to use a pool noodle or things like that. So it's there'll be different fun excerpts to all the games, and we'll try to make them competitive but fun as well. So.
Any other questions? I don't think we have to do any motions. We just know.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Tell everybody.
Number 8, update on Yellow Banks disc golf course.
So I put very little information in the packet. As you know, we've been working on this project, trying to improve the area so we can access it crossing the pipelines. We received the mats this last fall, and Jess had met with TC Energy multiple times. They had worked out gave us the depths. We gave them the locations where we'd like to cross, et cetera, how we were going to access it. And then she met with them again, a new person, no.
It was the same guy. It was Joe from TC Energy. I guess there's a misunderstanding between the two of us. When I was explaining stuff to him, he just thought it was for a temporary crossing the pipeline. So now they're making me, I got forms through email today to get more detailed stuff, and has to go through their engineer department to make sure that we're doing everything right to make them permanent crossings. So it's just gonna take a little bit to get the project rolling.
You don't think there's gonna be issues with that?
From the information they gave me, as long as I give them everything that we intend to do, I think we'll figure out one way or another to get access to the course.
Our mats will still be sufficient too, right?
I believe so, yes. Just might need some extra dirt, or seeing we want to probably bury the mats. So it's just a little more involved, and they want to know exactly written down and recorded of possible equipment that we would use to cross those pipelines. Like what would be the heaviest pieces of equipment. So they just want all that recorded and make sure we come up with the best game plan to protect the pipeline.
And it is challenging just due to the location. I mean, we have to go down the hill, and you have to go basically between the pipelines, going down the hill, and then cross over both, because there's 2 of them. You have to cross over each way. And to access the different elevations, we have to be able to cross one pipeline just to get between the pipelines. And then they're 30 to 40 inches deep.
Yeah, they're less than 4 feet.
So.
How thick are the mats?
They're
8 inches.
8 inches.
There's only one on the most, as of right now, the very most southern access point that we want to cross. That one's only like 36 inches below ground. So that one, as of what would have been the temporary, I guess, solution would have been to put another foot of topsoil or road base down and then the mats on top. So. Like I said, and plus I think like I said, we want to make it permanent access, but I think they're a little confused as it's not like we're gonna be driving on it every single day. You know, it might be just temporary for a week or two in winter when we get down there to do some maintenance, like brushing or something like that. Or if there's a windstorm or trees down, it's not like we're gonna be out there every single day or every week with the big equipment. And it's probably even limited with the dump trucks and that, because we can probably pull the stuff out to access points where we don't even, with smaller equipment to where we don't need the real big equipment to cross the pipeline.
Yeah, do they give you any weight limits?
Right now I have to give them all the information and they're gonna tell me. Cause like out of all of our equipment, the dump truck, you know, the excavator, all that stuff, I have to get weights. And then if it's track, I have to get the width of the track and all that stuff, so.
Yeah, and we've done this before, not as extensive, at Down Conservancy. But it's literally, you have to have it's not necessarily the weight of the vehicle, it's how many wheels it has or
Yep.
how long the tracks are,
Yeah.
how wide they are.
Axle and
I
stuff.
mean, cause we.
Pressure per square foot.
Yeah, so, I mean, we were able to, with the other project, we were able to limit the amount of equipment, we just did it with, we just did it with a dozer instead of a dozer and loader and dump trucks, because just what we would have to do to cross
Right.
it for that time, and it was just temporary, was a lot of work.
Any other questions on that? All right, let's move on to new business. Number 10.
One more.
Sorry.
You got one more. Off the page.
Oh, I'm sorry, update on Yellowbank's launch. I'm sorry, you're right.
No problem.
Number 9.
So there is an update in the packet. Still responsible for the restoration in the spring, so once the weather allows, we'll work on that with any other projects where we need to do some topsoil seeding work. We need to do some grading out there yet. Jess has submitted the grant reimbursement forms to the DNR for their review. And they figured it'd be a couple weeks possibly before we receive a reimbursement check, but the fact that we haven't heard from them means that she filled out the paperwork correctly.
She said all I gotta do is get her a picture of a sign put up and then
Yeah.
she'll do a site, she'll tell them to go ahead, that we met all our requirements, but then she still will do a site inspection in spring once the dock and that stuff is back in.
So Justin and John will be installing a temporary location more than likely
Yeah.
for now, just due to the weather and access to the site, if the ground's actually frozen now. So, but just the update on, we have received payments from the other 4 grants that the village received for the project. So we're literally just waiting for the one from the DNR.
I know we had talked at one meeting. Was that part of this launch where we had to go and clear out some trees, or is that just a totally different
This
project?
It's different. We talked about it with Dan. There's some areas west of the new launch where there's some down trees that are interfering with the kayakers flow of the river.
In order to
Just the size of the trees. I met with Dan out there. We walked out and looked at two main locations where they were looking to get some trees removed. And that obviously, access to the site is also part of that, is being able to get down there with equipment, if we have the ability to get those trees out of there. So they kind of go along with each other, all of them, but, so.
Yeah, they're kind of intertwined a little bit, right?
I just wanted to make sure we were clear, we're talking about this golf course and then talking about the launch, so.
Yeah. Any other questions on the launch? Okay, let's move on now to new business. Number 10, discussion, only presentation of draft plan concept and goals for the Western bicycle and pedestrian plan.
So Jody, our consultant, is online and she'll walk through the presentation. This was also presented at the board last week, so Mark will have a little bit of repeat, but still good information.
All right. Thanks everybody for having me. I'm Jody Rader. I'm with HKGI. I'm a landscape architect and project manager. And as Jamie said, I'll be walking through this presentation. We'll try to get it done in 10 minutes, but if you have questions along the way, feel free to interrupt. And then we can discuss afterwards. But I'll be reviewing the project purpose, scope, and schedule. We'll talk a lot about community feedback that we've collected so far. We'll review what we've done for the existing conditions analysis, and then we'll talk through the draft goals that have been drafted. So you can go to the next slide. And just a refresher in case you haven't kind of kept up with the project so far. The plan objectives for the bicycle and pedestrian plan are kind of what you see here on the screen: improve facilities and infrastructure, address a variety of users, from recreational bicyclists to people with disabilities, people who can't drive, children, young people, seniors. We also want to make sure that this plan makes connections, especially to those places where people are going to frequently: parks, schools, community destinations, places of employment, businesses, neighborhoods. We also want to use this plan as a tool for encouraging and educating people on why it's important to bike and walk, why this should be a community priority, and then also what are some of those regulatory or etiquette items that should be shared widely amongst the community. And then finally, we want this plan to help prioritize and, of course, implement projects. So we want to make sure that the plan is easy to use, clearly sets out goals, and looks at implementing these projects in a phased strategy. So you can go to the next slide. So why is it important for biking and walking today? I have a feeling we might be kind of reiterating some things that you probably all know, but safety, livability and mobility for residents, health, overall household and community prosperity, air quality concerns, being able to provide recreational offerings for the community, elevating or kind of assisting your parking and transportation networks, and then overall contributing to regional economic competitiveness. We know that people like to live where it's great to bike and walk. So you can go to the next slide. So this is our project schedule. We initiated the project late summer of 2025, and we've gotten through task 1, which is data collection. During that time, we were really looking at the existing conditions in Weston, your existing facilities, kind of trying to understand what are those issues and opportunities. Alongside task 1, we are also working on task 2, which is public involvement, and we are continuing to work on public involvement basically through the entire project. We've prepared a community engagement plan. We had some online engagement, some listening session, an open house, and I'll go through that stuff on a few slides in the coming presentation. Right now, we're also now working on task 3, the draft plan, and we're kind of working on the first stages of that network plan. So right now we're still on schedule per our original proposal to wrap up the project by summer, May, June. So now I'm going to talk about the community feedback and what we've heard over the last few months. There's been a lot of outreach and project communication that's been sent out to the community. There's a great project website. If you haven't gone to it, please check it out. It's on the village website. Also, article in the village newsletter, Channel 7 news story, interviewed Jamie and some other folks with the village. Email notices have gone out, social media posts, and also print media through flyers and business cards. So there's been a lot of outreach so far, so people should know that the plan is happening. And they've also, what we've seen, interacted with the events and the surveys that we've conducted. Let's go to the next slide. So we conducted a community survey. It was open from mid-September through mid-November. We received 316 respondents total, and that did meet our goal of 2% of the Weston population, which is like generally a good milestone if we look at other communities and other kind of similar projects. Most of the people who responded to the survey live in the village of Weston. And for the most part, the demographics of who we heard from represent, you know, the makeup of the village so far. We got a pretty decent age distribution as well. So you can go to the next slide. We also asked people to tell us a little bit more about themselves. So we kind of have an understanding of, you know, who is responding to the survey, who owns their home, who are renters, who are students, who work remotely or at home, who are part of a family with children. We also asked people to let us know kind of what their overall comfort is with biking and walking today. And we saw that the spread of that response was, you know, pretty similar to what we see in other communities. What we're really aiming for is to try to help the people who are in that interested but concerned category make it to the enthusiastic and confident. And if we can also try to get some folks in that not able or not interested category to, you know, kind of move up, that would also be great as a result of this plan. We asked people to let us know how often they bike or walk for different reasons. And kind of overwhelmingly, people today in Weston are generally biking and walking primarily for exercise, for pleasure and recreation. Far less are they biking and walking today to visit friends, go to work, go to school, run errands, you know, kind of those utilitarian trips. So really it's more for exercise and recreation today. You can go to the next slide. Some of the barriers that were identified to using trails in Weston, the number one overall lack of trails leading to where you want to go. And then also concern about motorists using technology and concern about personal safety. So, you know, folks using cell phones while driving is a big concern in the community. We asked people to let us know where their most important destinations are when they're using trails or the network today. And shopping, dining, and entertainment are a big one, and schools are also a big one. Less so with work. So we see this as maybe an opportunity to strengthen some of those desired destinations where people would like to go today, but maybe aren't able or not choosing to bike or walk to those places. And then we asked people to let us know what are the most important sort of issues that they have as they think about the future of biking and walking. And really safety, again, is it's a really important issue for most people. So, you know, focusing on having off-road trails for walking and biking that are separate from motorized traffic, really important. Safety for all roadway users, very important. And safe intersection crossings and facilities. You know, those are kind of the top most important items that are on people's mind. We asked people to let us know which trails that they use today more than others, and overwhelmingly the preferred facility types would be a paved trail over other types of like on-street bikeways. There were a good amount of people, a little over half people responded. They also like soft surface trails. And overall today, you know, people ranked their satisfaction with the sidewalk trail and bike network as a 3 out of 5. You know, so generally pretty good, but room for improvement. We asked people to let us know what features would make it more comfortable for them to bike or walk. And you can see some of the things that people like, maybe some more than others. And some of those, these amenities might also kind of help people to, you know, be able to make that choice in the future. So at the same time that we had the community survey open, we also had an interactive map that was available through the project website that was open also from mid-September to mid-November. We received 456 visits to the site and 304 comments were provided. So if you didn't see this, people could come to the map and they could drag a little point onto the map and tell us specifically a place in Weston where they have an idea, where they have a concern, or where they have, or, you know, someplace that they like to go. So what we heard through this was that people generally really like destinations that are related to the Eau Claire River. natural areas, parks, those are kind of the favorites. And then also separated and paved trails that exist today. Those are really, really the favorites. A lot of ideas for places where people would like to see future trails. Some of the more notable ones in the southern area along Alderson, the northern area of the village, kind of along the Eau Claire River, and extending the Mountain Bay State Trail were ideas that were brought up. Most of the concerns that we heard about on the map were about busy intersections, concerns with safety crossing those intersections, congestion around schools, and places where there aren't facilities today where people would like to see them. We also held an open stakeholder meeting on October 29th, and we invited a handful of people who we know are local bike or pedestrian advocates, and we also opened it up to the public as well. And there were 12 people who participated, some in person and some online. And we facilitated a really good discussion with this group, kind of tried to understand what are those big concerns, what are those big issues. Overall, what we heard kind of mirrored what we were hearing on the survey and the Maptionnaire, but we ended up talking quite a bit about connections to your water trail and connections to some of those water access points. So just want to highlight that. We also had an open house that was held at the bowling alley on November 6th. We think approximately 25 people attended. We were keeping track, but not everybody signed in. We heard a lot about preferences for shared use paths, trails that are separate from vehicles, connections to Yellow Banks Park. People are really excited about that. And then a lot of people have concerns with e-bikes, etiquette, education within the community. A lot of people really like to use e-bikes, and that's a big growing sector of recreation today. But there's also a lot of concern because, there's maybe some concerns about people not riding responsibly or too fast on the same trails as pedestrians. And then I just want to highlight a quote that we heard from a gentleman who came who was really excited about the fact that the village is planning for this. And, in regards to biking and walking, he said, this makes the community livable. And, I think that's a really important message that we should remember, is that it's really about finding ways to make it comfortable and easy for people to live and kind of go about their daily lives in Weston. So we also conducted a pretty thorough existing conditions analysis. We aren't going to go through all of the things that we discovered, but this is kind of an overall list of what we looked at. We looked at all of your relevant plans and documents. We may have missed a few, so we're happy to, take questions on that. We looked at regional, statewide, and national trends. We looked at your existing biking and walking facilities and mapped all of those out. Community destinations, your existing and future land use. We know that you're working on your comp plan right now, so we'll kind of have to take that into account. We're looking at larger regional connections, your existing trailheads, hydrology and topography within the village. We also looked at safety, crash data, traffic volume data, and then our partners, our subconsultants, R.A. Smith, performed an ADA and safety audit at 10 identified intersections. So this is one of the maps that came out of the analysis work, your existing conditions map showing where your existing trails, sidewalks, and on-street facilities are today, along with some of those locations for intersection improvements that are already on the docket that are planned over the next few years. So you've got a couple places where there are planned roundabouts, planned RRFBs or user activated signals, and we want to make sure we get those on the map too. Go to the next slide. So overall, the issues and challenges that we identified in Weston, today there are high volume roadways and roads, Highway 29, Schofield Avenue, Camp Phillips. These are kind of creating those major barriers to bicycle and pedestrian travel across Weston. So, these are the places where people have a hard time crossing. I know this probably seems obvious to you, but just want to highlight that. There are gaps in the existing biking and walking network that create challenges for residents and visitors. So, there are a number of really beloved trails like the Mountain Bay State Trail, Eau Claire River Trail. They don't actually connect to each other. They're kind of, their own little segments. And so, there's kind of a lot of gaps between these trails. The growing areas of Weston are less connected to the bicycle and pedestrian network, and sidewalk installation is inconsistent throughout Weston. So you have some neighborhoods with sidewalks, some without. Within an existing neighborhood, there might be a block with a sidewalk and, it kind of goes to nowhere. Overall safety concerns at busy intersections, rising e-bike use is cause for concern. And, some overall costs for facility installation and ongoing maintenance are challenges in Weston as in any other community. A lot of opportunities that we also, identified through this process. This plan is really an opportunity to address safety concerns, especially intersections with crosswalks, opportunity to strengthen connections to the river and natural scenic areas, opportunity to add crossings and water access locations, trailheads, and kind of bolster your recreation network. Loop trails, filling gaps, connecting better with neighboring communities. This plan is kind of laying the groundwork for the upcoming Safe Routes to School planning that DC Everest School District is performing in the coming year. And we see that and a lot of opportunities to better serve young people, seniors, people with disabilities, people who do not drive through this plan, and also better connect to some of those major destinations and introduce programming and education incentives along the way. So we've developed a set of draft goals. We want to go to the next slide. And we also have a draft vision. We are open to, comments. As Jamie mentioned, we presented this to the Board of Trustees last week, and the staff that we're working with have also gotten their eyes on this draft vision, and we are, really open to crafting this to make sure that it fits the needs of your community. So, this is really in draft form. So far, we are, putting out there that the people of Weston recognize that multimodal connectivity is a major factor in what makes this community a desirable place to live. The village will work to elevate comfort, safety, accessibility, and quality of life for residents and visitors by providing a well-connected bicycle and pedestrian network that serves people of all ages and abilities. So we're trying to cover our bases, but open to your thoughts on that as well. And then we've also drafted a set of goals, and we're working on the objectives that are the actions to kind of support those goals. These goals they're 9 goals, and they're really built off of the Wausau MPO Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan, which was originally done in 2014, and then they updated in 2021. We've modified some of the language to fine tune that to kind of meet the needs of the village, but we're really trying to stay in alignment with that MPO Bicycle Pedestrian Plan because Weston is kind of part of that larger network and really key. And so we want to make sure that we're really in alignment. So the first goal, develop a well-connected bicycle and pedestrian network, linking a variety of facilities together. Goal number 2, develop a prioritized network plan and leverage alternative funding sources for implementation. Goal number 3, design roads to be compatible with surrounding uses and to be pedestrian and bicycle friendly. Goal 4, reduce the number and severity of crashes with particular emphasis on reducing motor vehicle to bicycle and motor vehicle pedestrian conflicts and crashes. Goal number 5, provide adequate education, encouragement, evaluation, and enforcement programs to supplement facilities and improvements. Number 6, enhance intergovernmental cooperation and coordination for improving multimodal transportation. Goal 7, develop, evaluate, and enforce implementation of bicycle and pedestrian friendly design standards, especially new developments and roadway construction projects. 8, enhance the livability of Weston by improving quality of life as it relates to multimodal transportation for a variety of users. And 9, increase the number of people who walk or ride a bicycle to work or school, for shopping and utilitarian trips, and for recreation purposes. So I know that was a lot. We are at this time working on the draft network plan and also the objectives that support those goals. We are, kind of always doing continued stakeholder outreach. We had a really great meeting with the DC Everest School District 2 weeks ago now it was, or a week and a half ago. We'll be planning an open house for the end of February. I think tentatively the date is the February 26th, but I'm not sure if that's been finalized yet, so I don't want to say too much more about that. And then we'll be working towards that draft plan document through the spring. So again, we are welcoming of your questions today. You can also, contact myself directly with comments, ideas, and questions. My email and phone number are on the slide here. And then Jamie is also a really, vital member of the staff team that is working on the project as well. And that's my last slide. Are there questions or anything that you want me to clarify while we're in the meeting?
Any questions for Jody? No? Thank you, Jody. Appreciate
Yeah,
your
thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we had anything on that.
You don't need to make a motion, just a presentation. Yep.
Okay. All right.
I guess the one thing, if the committee members, as you let it sink in, or do we have a copy of that presentation that we'd be able to send out?
Yeah.
I guess as you look through it, if there are things that pop up, I guess,
We
We
have it.
want the
have it-
feedback.
We have it in the packet too.
okay, it's in the packet.
So they did have it since last Wednesday,
Yeah,
but
so if you see things on there and, missed out on, the other Maptionaire and stuff like that, I guess let us know. And,
I do have a question, actually.
What was that, Katrina?
I do have a question.
Sure.
Or just to clarify, does this project work in conjunction with the planning that's being done at the Marathon County level? Or is this completely separate and just information that they could take and use to integrate into the overall plan that Marathon County and the local communities are putting together?
Yeah, so when the county looks at it, they generally look at moving people through the county. So where are major connectors, how are we getting people from Weston to Rothschild to Remountain to Wausau? And, so then we want to make sure we follow some of that guidelines, because we'd be missing if we don't. But at the same time, then there are more local ideas and thoughts in there that the county isn't going to look at. They don't look at, say Williams Park or Sand Hill Park and go, oh, okay, that's a regional destination. It's more of a local destination, or, something like that. So they work together. It's just the level of detail and emphasis on, if it's regional or more localized to Weston.
And the
Okay, I
MPO
thought- But go ahead, Jamie.
The MPO did join us for our stakeholder meetings, and they'll receive copies of the plan, and they'll be invited to the open house too. But they did join our stakeholder meetings, so they know kind of where we're at this point.
Okay.
Also, we've shared our data with the representative, I forget her name, who came to the stakeholder meeting, and kind of going back and forth to make sure that we've got the regional information mapped out correctly. So yeah, I think the two plans should work in tandem with each other, but just kind of at different scales.
Okay, and one last question. Are residents still able to participate in the map part of this survey? Like if they have concerns or things that they want to add to the map, is it still interactive where we can still add things?
I think we've closed the comments just so that we could summarize them, but if you feel like we should keep it open, we can open it back up. We just have to make sure that we're monitoring it. People are providing comments, but we also, I believe on the project website, we have the contact information that people can just contact staff directly as well.
And maybe we would open it back up a little bit closer to the open house, because we'll do publicity around the open house, and that might be a good time that we would say, if you haven't provided comment, this would be an opportunity to.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then, do we own this website, or is this website the property of HKGI?
No, it's part of the village website.
Okay,
Maptioneer is HKGI.
Yep, that's true. Yeah.
That's
So
their software that they use to, but we have the information, we have a page off of our site that has information loaded, but Maptioneer is the consultants.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Related to number 11? Or 10? Okay, let's move on to number 11. Discussion and or possible action on Macmillan Master Plan request for proposals.
So back in November, if you remember that far back already, 2 months ago, we discussed, what plan is with Macmillan Park. There was a lot of discussion over the past couple of years with pickleball, and then now with some things that got at Kennedy Park and, baseball kind of moving from there a little bit. Do we want to continue with some planned development at Macmillan, which we never developed a master plan with the exception of drawing up one internally back when it was originally developed. So we want to make the best use of the property, obviously, and we want to make it best use for the village. So I did draft a request for proposals. I wanted you guys, everybody to see it before we move forward with the release of it. And then we'll ship, once we get proposals back, then it would come back to you with what the cost would be. And those are just tentative dates that I put in there right now. But I did base them around like park meetings, board meeting, just so we don't get their proposals and then they have to wait 2 months for it to be awarded. If we would move forward with it, so. Do you have any questions regarding the RFP?
So
Go ahead, Katrina, sorry.
it's okay. So, from what I'm understanding, it will be the consulting firm's responsibility to get some public input on what things people might want to see at Macmillan Park. Is that right?
Yep, that's under part 1A. It's public staff and committee input. So they would hold similar to the bike and ped plan, where they would hold meetings for people to come and submit or comment on the future of that park.
Okay.
Any other questions? It is based on the RFP that we did for our previous master plans, so it was relatively easy one to draft with all the details that we got for the Kennedy and Prohaska plans.
I think I had asked this before. What's normally the cost for one of the master plans be?
So the last two, Kennedy Park was 3,500 and Prohaska was 5,000.
Okay.
Because most of Kennedy Park was already developed, so there was
Yeah.
so much existing infrastructure, where
Right,
Prohaska is one that there's no existing infrastructure.
Right.
So there was more planning involved in, what would take place out there.
Sean, if we were to go forward with one of these proposals, we get people back and they say they want to do this work for us. Whatever the cost is, where does that funding come from?
The funding would be determined by typically the finance committee, as far as funding, but we do have some options as far as, we do have the parkland dedication funds or park impact fees that we discussed back in November too. Those are fees that we collect from typically developers when each property is constructed on in a new development, they pay the village park impact fee. So we did collect most recently fees from all the homes in Inner Springs that were constructed. So there are funds available for that, and they are limited that we, we do need to use them within 7 years of collection. So those are funds that would need to be used.
The Green Tree subdivision is also out in the kind of Mock Miller Park area, so as that subdivision keeps getting built out, we get some park fees for that as well.
Yeah, there's probably what, 15, 20 homes out there already.
Yeah, I think that was what, 90 houses total.
88, yep.
Yeah, I can see that becoming more of a popular park as that gets developed out there.
Yeah, you had 88 more homes to it. And we have talked previously, future sewer and water extension on the north end through the park, which would allow us to put in another restroom facility on the north side. You know, an underutilized area at this point. But you know, what is that future use there?
There's a lot of area out there to be developed yet too, so
Yeah,
we should definitely look at doing the right thing here. Park, because it's only gonna grow in that area out there.
The only thing I might suggest we add is just in case we're not satisfied with the proposals, something that says that we reserve the right to reject all proposals if we don't. I didn't see that, but maybe it's in there and I just didn't see it.
Yeah, and I guess caveat here too is just because we do a master plan doesn't necessarily mean we are building anything right away either.
right.
You know, if there's a organization that would come forward and say, hey, we really wanna, you know, build this thing out there, and we go, hey, yeah, we have that in the plan, it would fit. I guess then we'd have a little more reason to say, yes, you can go do that, and the right sizing or area for them as well.
Or the vice versa, we get something and we say, it's just not.
Yeah, it's not what
we're
the,
thinking.
you know, we've had some weird proposals over the years for use of Mock Miller Park and I don't know, that one glider guy, did it need to be declared like an airport or something?
RC track, shooting range. Yeah,
So it does help staff with that too, if we know that this is kind of the general consensus of what we want to see the park as in the future, we, you know, we can tell people that's what it's aimed for.
yes, for future staff, future committee members, just future planning where it doesn't change constantly, you know.
Yeah, I think I personally think it needs to be done.
Something to go with, you know.
Yeah.
Was there a recommendation or
You
a clause in there that says we won't?
There, I don't see one right now, so I would have to add that.
Jamie's request.
Yeah, I made a note already, so I didn't see it.
I didn't see it in there.
This was an action item though, yes?
Yes.
Do we, I don't know, do you need to have that? I mean, we're asking for a proposal. It's not a bid where we're hard bidding a project, and
I guess, yeah, do we?
you can put it in there, I guess, just to be safe.
I think it's just one of those things that makes it clear. If someone comes back and is low bid and says, you put it out there. So.
Yeah, so if somebody wants to make a motion to approve releasing this with the suggested change.
Yeah.
I would make the motion that we release this proposal with the changes that we are able to accept or reject any and all bids
Proposals.
or proposals. That's it.
Second. Okay, we have a first by Cato, second by Easker. Anyone opposed? No, everyone?
Any more discussion?
Any more discussion?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Any
opposed?
opposed?
Motion
No
passes.
opposed, motion Passes. All right. Discussion and or possible action on the park shelter fees and field rental costs. Number 12.
So this is something that came up at the November meeting too, when we reviewed the aquatic center prices. It was discussed that we hadn't looked at the park shelter fee prices, or we hadn't determined like field rental prices, with the exception of what we currently have. But we know that with the addition of the 2 turf fields, one with lights at Kennedy Park, there'll be individuals interested in utilizing that facility. And then to obviously help cover our costs for maintaining it, lighting it, et cetera, for the use. I know the village met with the school district. They are interested. They've already proposed 7 spring softball games on our fields at Kennedy. So it is something that we need to determine. Michael and Jamie met with the school. They understand that utilizing that facility, there will be a cost involved in it. But you know, for comparables, I actually talked to Michael because he travels with his boys for travel baseball currently, and some of the facilities he's played at, and you know what they charge. So I went through and looked at Rapids to Forest. I went and got the Wausau prices to Wausau School District and Wausau Marathon County. And then I looked at a couple other communities, Stevens Point and Merrill, for like local, regional, because prices in DeForest or prices in the Valley, prices down in Madison are a little bit different than Central Wisconsin. So as we talked previously, you know, bookmarking off of other facilities is not necessarily giving you, covering that cost that it is for you. So I figured there'd be some discussion as far as, you know, we could start with the park shelter fees. Current rates that we have are in there. It's $60 for all of our shelters, all the same as far as size, with the exception of 1. But the cost is the same. All of them have 8 tables, with the exception of Yellow Bank's 1, which has just 4 tables, fixed permanent ones. The other ones are all movable tables. And we typically have extra tables outside of them. They all have electricity. They all have flush restrooms, with the exception of Yellow Bank's, which has portable toilets. And they don't have water available there either. But everybody else has water and flush restrooms available.
One side's got flush, one side doesn't. At Yellow Banks.
No, neither one of them.
No.
No, they both have portable toilets. So we removed the pit toilet in 2021, and then the cost to build a independent facility with a mound system was very expensive to serve a small amount of people. So the current plan is to run it with portables, because that costs us, right now it's costing us $585 a month, and we do it for 6 months a year. So
Is that just Yellow Banks or all?
that's just the old things.
We have flush toilets on my side of Yellow Banks though, don't we?
Correct, yeah, on the
Yeah,
south side of the
at the
river.
disc golf course, yes. Yep.
There's
Okay,
no shelter there.
Well, there is a shelter there.
there is a shelter there.
There's a little covered area.
Overhang of the.
Table there.
I guess we don't rent that though at this point, right? We just rent the shelters on.
Yeah, it's a very small area. Literally, we could put 1 table there,
Yeah.
probably, maybe 2. So our current rate for family, 60 plus tax and security deposit of 25. Non-resident, 85, resident was 60. And then non-resident or nonprofit resident, 60, nonprofit non-resident, 110, business resident, 160, and business non-resident, 310. And if you look at like what Wausau, Marathon County, their facilities, they have so many different facilities and they break them out. So there is a lot of variance in their costs. So it's hard to look at, to some extent, just because their facilities are not necessarily mostly comparable to ours. If you read the ones that are in there, Big Old Plain Park, Blue Hill Bay, Cherokee, Dells of the Eau Claire, if you've been to these facilities, they are quite a bit different than what we currently offer, which are just open air shelters. Merrill, somewhat comparable. There's $60. There's pretty much $60 with the exception of one facility, which was 70. Village of Rothschild, theirs are pretty comparable to us, but their facilities like River Street and George Street, they have a small kitchen area. They have an enclosed area, which we don't have. So it's not just an open air shelter. And they're at $75 for a resident. We're at $60 for an open air shelter. So Gasca Park, that one's a little more comparable to us. It's just a restroom with a small open air shelter. There is $50. And then Pavilion Park Shelter, which they have just a portable toilet, and an open air shelter is $25. So
Sean, with the security deposit, have we ever had any of those not go back, or do they all pretty much go back?
for the most part, we have had a few that didn't go back, but the thing is, it's hard to tie in an open,
Who did it?
in an open
Who done
park.
it?
Yeah. Which person that came out of that bathroom did that damage to it?
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of damage to the park shelters.
Okay.
But the restrooms is where we usually see any damage. But the problem is, how do you pin it on the group that was there? Depending on the day they rented it, if they had it Saturday, we didn't look at it Sunday, and then Monday we come along and we find stuff. So, then the town of Remote, or Village of Remote, sorry. They have a 225 standard rental, but if you've ever been in their shelter, it's full on indoor sliding doors on the side, so you can open up. I mean, it's a beautiful facility. And so they're at 225 for standard rate, which 75 is deposit, so the shelter rental is only 150. And then
Still pretty reasonable.
nonprofit is $75 deposit with $100 rental. So $100 they get to rent it from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m.
So what kind of work goes into getting any of these shelters ready for rental, Sean? Like, what do we do in advance? Are we going there to empty the garbage cans and make sure the bathrooms are clean? Do we do
Yep.
any other prep work for them?
Yep. Anytime there's a shelter rental, we clean, stock the bathrooms, make sure the garbages are emptied. If there's issues with the tables or the floors, we wash those up, if there's garbage laying around, we pick it up, but that we do that. And we do it on weekends also, because that's typically when most of our reservations take place. So there are a lot of times where we'll clean and stock Kennedy or Bachmuller on a Saturday and a Sunday, and dispose of the trash. So there are times where we're literally hauling out trash to make room for more trash, because they have some big groups, especially at Bachmuller, we've seen.
I don't know if Katrina's follow-up question would be this, so if it's not, I apologize, but I think there's also the hope that we're covering our costs.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we should make money on this at all, but just that we
Right.
are covering the cost to have the rental.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's a service that we offer to the residents. It's not a money-making deal for us. I think I mean, because we
Yeah,
want to
and-
encourage people to be outside, utilizing our parks and doing recreational stuff, just so that we can recover the cost of the employees' time to do that, to offer them a clean facility, I think is reasonable.
Yeah, and we annually estimate 4,000 in revenue from shelter rentals. This past year, we did a little over 3,600. So like you said, it is not a money-making venture. we may need to look at the prices a little bit more, because if we're anticipating what we go there to clean the bathroom and stock it and clean the shelter area, but we never really anticipate the time it takes us to clean after the group leaves. We're literally doing it to prep it, but then after they leave. So, I mean, we're probably at that point not covering our costs with a full-time employee on overtime. Probably have more than an hour involved in it.
Depends on the size of rental and what they do there, I guess.
What they do there?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get in and out of there in 15 minutes at a park, and sometimes you're spending it over an hour.
Okay, can you pull up our current fees? Do we have them in the?
Yep, it's in the schedule of fees. So it's the park shelter rental, that middle section in the bottom, in that bottom page.
So I guess I'll throw out some ideas, I guess, just because I do think we are a little bit lower than some of the other area places, though it is hard to compare because again, we're not comparing apples to apples always. But what if we increased them by $20 just across the board? What does anybody else think about that? Too much, too little?
I guess the Kennedy Park facility, when,
I mean, more than likely, we will be looking at these rates again in the future. I mean, as development at Kennedy takes place.
because it's gonna be costing more for the electricity than. I mean, there's costs involved every time we improve, the costs go.
Yeah,
Go up.
yeah, our monthly bill for each one of those shelters is typically $35.
Right. Yeah.
Because
For the power.
they don't use a ton. I mean, it's,
Right.
you're paying your monthly fee more than you're paying for actual uses. How much electricity can you use on two 20 amp circuits in a?
Much,
Not much.
Not much.
especially if you're only there for the day.
Yeah. So my thought, I mean, is, and if you're familiar with Rothschild, with George Street or River Street Parks, if you've ever been there, they're at $75 for one that's got a kitchen, serving counter. They have a refrigerator. I mean, I don't know. You look at Stevens Point, they don't charge for any of their open air shelters. So anything that's got an open air shelter with tables underneath it, they do not charge for.
Can you book it though? Can you, I thought
No, it's first come, first serve.
you have
Oh,
to
you
like
can't
set
reserve
up,
down there?
no. You
No,
have to be
they
there in the
have
morning.
facilities you can reserve,
They charge for those?
but
though?
then they charge for those.
Yeah.
But
Open air, you just gotta wake up early.
And
and that's the way most of them were around here.
if it's residents, I mean,
previously.
that's part of why we have the tax base, to pay for part of the parks for people to use.
Yeah.
And I understand, the ones that are using the shelters should pay a little more, obviously, but.
It's a very, very convenient for the people that are reserving it because they can guarantee it. Like we got a reservation over the weekend. They're planning for something on August 1st right now. If you do first come, first serve,
You never know.
and then you're not getting a clean and stock bathroom. So
Right.
what do they expect? What does somebody expect to use at that point? So,
Katrina, I would go 10 or half of that, $10 more. And then maybe look at it again next year.
Okay.
we know with the Kennedy Park improvements, if
It's,
we,
yeah, and that.
Yes.
Yeah,
the plan is to, develop and build a new shelter, restroom facility,
and that's all in the future.
and then you could break it out to
Yeah.
different parks, different costs too.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to break the Kennedy,
Definitely.
definitely gonna have to be broken out of all the other ones. But then again, as we improve Mock Miller, any of the other ones, it's.
Gonna be a park by park.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something you could discuss now too, because you're not getting the same facilities at Yell Banks.
No.
You're getting portable toilets and no running water,
Right,
you know?
yeah,
So, I mean, that's, you know, if you, like you said, if you see Weston Marathon County, they have every one of their parks broke out and literally almost all have a different
different pricing fee.
based on, you know,
Yeah.
what's there and where it's
And that's
located.
smart, because you have more facilities, you should be charging.
Right.
Less facility, obviously, we should be charging less.
And you're traveling all over the county to take care of it.
Right, yeah.
With that discussion, do you maybe want staff to take this back and break up the facilities a little bit and put together a proposal for next month on what? Maybe keeping the cost the same?
That would be a good idea.
That's a good
We could base it on the facilities that are available, because not every park
Yeah.
has the same facilities available either. Like Sand Hill, you have a playground and a volleyball court, no baseball field. You
Yeah.
have a basketball, you know?
But you
so-
don't have that much, yeah.
Right, right,
Yellow Banks, you don't have running water, you know.
right, yeah. I mean, so we could definitely, we have some time to do this. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
we are taking rentals right now, but we're not losing a bunch of revenue
Right.
for people taking shelter reservations right now.
I'd make a motion that staff look at doing a breakdown by park for rental fees. Second.
Motion by Tato, second by Isker.
Any more
Any
discussion?
more discussion? Are you okay, Katrina, with that?
Yep.
So before you vote, we had field rental prices too. I have them under the same item and maybe I shouldn't.
Why don't you take the vote on the facilities first, because you can still take a separate vote on the field
Okay.
rental.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, you got the motion in second.
Right, got a
You asked
motion and
for
second, all those
questions.
in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. All right, then we'll look at the field rental cost.
Yes, so,
12B, we'll call it 12B.
so I included a few facilities and you might have been confused by one because it was not even labeled, but it was DeForest. Forest is the one that was the longest one. And it's page by page, different facilities, they have a different rental fee for practices versus games. Boston does a tiered approach, but they do also have turf fields. Spencer Rapids have turf fields. Forest has both turf and dirt.
Is this DeForest?
That's the Forest.
Okay.
Yes, I noticed that today. I'm like, nobody's gonna know what that one is. So that's the Forest. So, but I included Weston Marathon County, Merrill, DeForest, Wisconsin Rapids, and Wausau School District. Just because they have turf fields. Because you have all dirt fields with the exception of the two new fields, and then you would have different rental costs for one with or without lights. We only have one with lights right now. And James got up the school. Oh, I got DC Everest in there too. Sorry, I missed that. DC Everest. They have $100 an hour fee just for the lights being on.
They do have older lights. Ours are much more energy efficient.
That's good to know.
So Sean, do we have any idea how much our lights cost per hour?
We have no idea.
No
I
idea.
mean, there's 4 poles and 3 heads per pole.
Energy efficient LED lighting compared to the HID lighting that they have at the high school. So I would assume we would be probably a quarter of what they pay in electricity.
Is there
When
some way we
needed,
can
so for
find
the-
out?
Probably find out, figure out what the wattage is and, on each unit. Do some calcs.
Or we could, I mean, we did this with the aquatic center back in 2000. We had public service come in and do like a audit. And since we only have the lights on that field, on one field, so we could literally turn it on. They can read the meter.
Yeah.
And they can tell us exactly what we're using per minute or whatever they do to get their calcs. I mean, that way we could have an actual cost on it. On what it costs to operate the lights.
Yeah, and
I
mean,
think that would
theirs
be a
is
great idea.
Yeah, I mean, theirs seems like a nominal number they put out there, because I'd have to think Steam Stadium and the softball field have two different actual rates to them, or costs.
You would think.
Either one is $100, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then
That's a
they
deal.
got, and then they have Simon Field, well, they have Simon Field in
Yeah.
the varsity softball field, right?
Yeah, they have Steam Stadium, Simon Field, or varsity softball field are all $100, so. I think some of this stuff, we can set a price and then, review it at the end of the year and say, okay, we need to move it up, or it actually doesn't cost that much, it costs less, or whichever
Yeah,
way.
I mean, and the prices I got for athletic park in Wausau, I mean, it's $200 for a game. That's it, that's their cost. But it said would be reviewed after the turf install, which took place last year. So that is not the current or updated price. They said there would be an increase on that. But it is quite reasonable to hold a game at athletic park, which youth baseball has done for quite a few years with the Babe Ruth as far as the championship game.
And there you get the whole, it's not just the grass and the dirt though. I mean, that's the restrooms, that's the stadium, that's everything.
Yeah, and so there's lots of variables in this one also. Just because what we provided prior compared to now has changed. And for the most part, the field rental prices, we've never had anybody book and pay for a baseball field rental. We had for-profit groups rent the rugby field. But we've never had anybody actually for baseball, because literally we host youth baseball, that's about it, and school. And now youth softball. So.
Would it be unreasonable to match the $100 per hour, so we'd be the same as the school district, and then evaluate if that's a good rate
For the lighted field?
for the lighted field?
I think 100 per hour is very expensive.
Okay.
I do too, but I have nothing to compare it to. That's why I wondered if we could find out what the actual cost is, so that we have real numbers. So we're not charging people an exorbitant amount of money for something that, costs much less. If we really have a legit number to work with, that would be helpful, rather than just guessing. And then, does the baseball league, or whoever the Everest teams, are they giving us anything for the use of the fields for practices or games?
Are you talking youth softball, youth baseball, the members of the?
All of them. I guess I don't know who all the user groups are, but
So the user groups that are part of the Friends Kennedy Park is youth hockey, youth softball, and youth baseball. There are the three user groups that signed on to be part of the Friends of Kennedy Park group. The school district utilizes their facilities, but they are not necessarily part of the fundraising arm for the Kennedy Park project. So typically, any youth organization, that is nonprofit, Weston based, we're not charged for use of our facilities.
I mean, baseball has historically invested in the fields and produced a lot of the maintenance throughout the week. They've paid for, some of the turf dry and field, redos, infield material. The storage sheds, batting cages were all put in, for the most part. I think some of that was village, but.
Yeah, we would discuss user groups, excuse me, user agreement with them before spring that would cover that they would do those maintenance items in turn for utilizing the fields.
Right.
So if we had, this would be for outside bookings or for the school district. Those user groups, part of the Friends would have a separate agreement that would state really, you know, that staff wouldn't have to have that big involvement in the turnover of the field because they would be handling those aspects on their own.
Yeah, perfect, because they do a lot, the baseball, and they're doing their tournaments and stuff. And they're doing a lot of fundraising to help pay for a lot of things that they do at that park.
Yeah, and there's different ways of doing them and, you know, that we did look at a draft user agreement that I put together a long time ago. And at that time I had put it in there like a per user. So if there's 500 kids signed up for youth baseball, they're just dedicated to paying $15 a player for those 500 kids. And that would be their contribution for that year. That way, if enrollment drops off to 400, then their fee would not be the same year to year. That was just a proposal. It was something that I also seen in some of these other ones. Like the one that City of Wausau has with, or with the county has with MC United, they charge by the player. So it's a per player cost. So that's how they cover their costs for that. But then City of Wausau, for use of their fields for youth baseball, they charge by the game. So there's different ways to do it. I mean, it's just finding that how we want to handle it.
So do we charge Everest? Then I get the user groups that are part of Kennedy Park we treat them separately because they're nonprofits, but do we charge DC Everest?
We have never charged DC Everest for use of our facilities.
But we did have the conversation that going forward, there likely would be a charge and they are comfortable with it.
Okay. I guess then it would be helpful if you could give us a facility that's similar and what their charges are to look at.
So Wisconsin Rapids would be similar.
Okay.
We also could do the piece about the electricity. We could ask for that information too and bring that back. You could work with WPS on that. Which page is Wisconsin Rapids?
Wisconsin Rapids is where's my page?
Is this Rapids?
Sure, Rapids.
Yep,
Yes.
there we go.
And then, oh my goodness. So it looks like it's complicated.
Yeah, and every one of them was that way. And I actually thought, well, I could make it a little easier and put it on a spreadsheet, but how many of those things do I include? You know, because they are so
Right.
complicated. Like, do I include all those ones that I put in there? I mean, if you look at Wausau's, you get confused just looking at it because it's so different. So Rapids and DeForest would be similar just because they both have turf fields.
Right.
Rapids is school district versus DeForest is not.
Public.
So
So is this chart right now that we're looking at suggesting that there's a flat, like in column A, there's $150 charge plus $120 bleacher inspection, which I don't know if we have bleachers or anything like that. Plus $20 an hour for labor. I assume like whatever prepping you have.
if I would think if there was something additional that they needed help with. I wouldn't think that they provide all these people on site for stuff like that.
So I guess then my next question would be, how much prep are we doing specifically for DC Everest, if any, so that like we can clarify if it's just a usage fee versus we're trying to recoup some of our labor cost.
So as far as typically, we don't do necessarily extra field prep, but if we have game days, previously, if we had game days on softball or the large field, we did prep the field for them. They would send their own staff to line them and lime them. And we put bases out just because they don't have access to our facility. So. And that's, like I said, due to DC Everest Youth Baseball's taking over so much maintenance, we are doing less. We used to drag fields 4 days a week, and now
They do it all.
they do most of it. Like if you're a coach, you plan on being there before the game to prep the field. You're doing everything. We don't have a limer, so we don't do that, but we do paint the permanent foul lines in the grass areas. I shouldn't say permanent. We repaint them every few weeks, but
I think just for sake of time for this evening, maybe we put together, what are our costs? What are the costs for the lights? The two that are similar to us with turf, what are they getting? And then just bring back that information next time.
a little less complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Investigation and we can make.
Do we need a motion for that? No.
No.
I think if that's a general consensus, you
Yeah.
can say that you'd just like to see
I
it
would
back.
say we'd want to just see that, narrow that scope down so we can make a decision on it. Cause that's a lot of data to go through.
Yeah.
It won't all be
Confusing.
applicable to us, yeah.
Yeah. All right, any more discussion on that?
Nope.
Okay, let's move on to 13, discussion and or possible action on aquatic center pump and valve replacement.
So there is a RFC in the packet for this item. This is an item that we've been anticipating taking place since May of 2023, when we found out that they had discontinued manufacture of our pumps, and we have all 4 of them are the same. So we needed some face plates in 23. Contacted the supplier. They informed us at that time that they no longer manufacture these pumps. They had 7 of those face plates on hand in the factory, and that they would send us 2 of them, and there would be 5 remaining. But they said you should be able to run for a few years before you would need those replacements for those pumps. But we already ran 3 years on them. So if we run into a major problem during the season, we're not gonna have any way to repair it. They're still able to get mechanical seals to repair the seal within the water pump itself.
Okay.
There's 2 separate things. There's the motor and then there's the pump. So the entire pump where the volute is connected to, all that would need to be replaced. And they don't manufacture one with the same measurements as we currently have. So you can't just take this pump out, put another one in that has the same measurement. So the proposal is for 4 new concrete mounting pads for the motors. Replace all the pumps with motors, all the necessary valves, check valves. What else is on there? There's a couple other items that they're going to repair for us: water air supply, floor float supply.
You gotta change some of the plumbing.
Yeah, there's plumbing changes, piping modifications for the 4 new pumps. And they also would have, because we are changing them, they would need to require state approved plans. They will not schedule this work until we actually have signed contract with them. As you can see, the date on this is from December 1st, that we got the quote from them. Basically, we had them on site in fall, and then we're like, we need to move this project forward. We've been talking about it for a long time. We've been dealing with other stuff at the aquatic center. So this is really just a project that needs to be completed. It's definitely moved up our priority list just because,
Absolutely.
Getting them.
yeah, so the facility's been open.
Wear out.
Facility's been open since '99 and currently
Cross fingers.
two of our motors are original. And all of our pump housings, with the exception of the actual pump itself, where the impeller is, are still original too.
The estimate does say valid for 30 days, but they said they'd hold the price, yes?
I have to talk to them again.
Okay.
We just them providing the estimate, and when we brought it, it would have been brought typically probably in November, and then we didn't have a December meeting now. So they're pretty good at holding their price for us. But there may be some adjustment. This would still have to go through finance and board. So it would be, I would request an updated estimate if this is something you feel like we should move forward with.
Or you can make the motion that they would hold the price, and you could say that the committee asked to move it forward if you'd honor the price.
And then there's,
I've heard that.
yes. And then there's the optional VFDs.
Another 40,000 for those, 42,000 or whatever.
And that does not include any electrical work. And that's been with all their proposals. I'm not sure. They just don't have the proper electrical.
They don't have licensed electrical contract. They could get a price, I'm sure, from a contractor.
Yes.
But it'd probably be better if we could do it locally through a contractor.
And
One thing with those, do those pumps run full bore all the time?
Right now.
And there's no need to throttle them down or anything?
oh yeah, we have valve down. We valve them down, but the motors run at 1,700 RPMs all the time. So we do a valve to get our flow rate,
Yeah.
and those valves are not even halfway open.
No, that one's only a quarter.
Because our flow rate for our speed slide is 600 gallons a minute. We're pumping double
So
that.
you probably want some type of a transducer on the circuit, on the pipe to drive the VFD as needed. So as the filters say clog, and you have to push more water through, it would ramp it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, what we currently run it off of our, because we do have a VFD on the main motor.
Right.
You're aware of that.
Right.
And we run that through our flow meter.
Right.
So our flow meter, if the flow changes, that changes the speed of the motor.
But the other, the activity slides and stuff like that, they just run continuous.
Yes,
And are they throttled at all, or
we have the valves.
you do have those? Okay.
Yeah.
So then that would make sense then to also put those on.
Yeah, for me, unfortunately, that's not my background as far as expertise. So I don't know how much electricity you save with them. I know that you're running a pump at 1,700 RPMs versus we're running it at almost half speed. We're not running it wide open. That's the big one. That's the 40 horse. And that one, we originally, to get our flow rate, we only had the valve quarter open, probably, little recorder.
Yeah, it
So
wasn't much.
I know it probably got too technical on you, but the other three, like right now, we have a line on our valves where we set our flow rate. Because we don't have flow meters, and they could put in one of those other things that reads flow.
It'd save a lot.
It's gonna save electricity by, being able to run them slower. The big thing right now to me is the pumps themselves. That's critical. Because like you said, if you get one that goes down, you're gonna have to shut down for the summer and until we can get a new pump completely.
Yeah. And it's not just a plug and play.
No.
If it was, I wouldn't be so
Right,
concerned, like, if I
right,
get one
right.
with the same dimensions. And I could just pull the assembly out, slide the new one in, rebolt it together.
And these pumps only run 3 months. So do we really recoup a lot of energy savings? Other than when you first start them up, the inrush current is very high. You know, when you start a bigger motor like that across the line, but I don't think that we're gonna recoup the money that quickly. But
Yeah, the only other thing I would think if we weren't. If we would go that route is that we would put soft start on those other two.
Yeah.
Cause the one that we have the soft start on, you know, and the one with the VFD, it's not as hard on them
Right.
when you turn them on. The other
They
ones,
ramp up
literally,
slowly.
it's. You turn it on, it's,
And it's better on your energy bill too, because they get you on a peak demand. And when you start a bigger motor across the line, that's your peak, that they bill you kind of at that peak rate. So I mean, if nothing else, it just got the drives in. And then later on, if we needed to do an automated thing, but you could, like you say, slow it down by hand, so. You know, just set the speed at half the speed that you're running at full bore, and it's gonna save electricity.
but you need the VFD to adjust the hertz, right?
Right, yeah, you need a VFD to slow it down.
Would you want that included in the motion? Approval of the pricing plus the VFD?
He's saying that he doesn't think we need the VFDs.
Oh,
You wouldn't, I mean, they're not critical, it
Just
would be
because
nice.
if we were running 24/7. Like the main motor runs 24/7, 3
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
The other
That's already
three
on.
only run from 11 to 8 daily,
Right.
so they only run 9 hours a day, so for us to save that $50,000-$50,000.
It's gonna take a long time to get that recouped.
Probably the life of the facility, remaining life of the facility, so.
And maybe as a starter goes bad on one of the pumps, then you put a VFD in. Because it's replacing the starter unit that you would put a variable.
Yeah,
freq
you just
drive
did one of those for us like 2 years ago, when that fire started inside of that one.
on. Yeah,
He's like, what are you talking about?
back to topic.
should have put up a VFD, but. I'd make a motion that we, send it on to finance to get, this taken care of. Right.
Finance and board.
And board, right.
So we have some remaining funds from CIP from
Let's,
2025
let's,
and. So,
let's send it to the board for the full packet with the understanding that if, and finance that if they, if they can't, if they don't want to do the VFDs, then that would be okay. But we definitely need to have the pumps replaced and the valving.
and you'll be around long enough to wire the 3-phase motors back in.
If you push me around my wheelchair.
I don't know how I'm gonna get you down that pit.
You got a crane with a little hook.
Yeah.
So did I hear a motion on that?
Yes, I make a motion that we send this on to finance and the board, that have the pumps and valving per Newman Pools quotation. And then optional would be for the $40,270 for the variable freak drive in minus the installation cost or whatever, less the installation cost because there are no installation.
Second. Okay, we have a motion first by Beto and second by Esker. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Any
opposed?
opposed? All right, the motion passes. Future items. Next meeting date, February 2nd, February 23rd, 2026.
Keep going. Yep.
No problems with that date.
Any problems? No? Okay. Topics for future meeting, Kennedy Park user agreements.
Yes, and then we will bring back the park shelter fee, fuel rental costs. We have a meeting on Wednesday to discuss user agreements. I was going through what was provided in the packet previously, so I have 3 examples in there, 3 or 4 examples from previous meeting. So that will be one of the items we'll be discussing. I'm sure we'll hopefully have another update discussion for the disc golf course. And then, Sheena, you had one other thing, didn't you? Remember what you emailed me?
Yeah,
This golf course and then,
the user group agreements.
oh yeah, user group stuff, so.
Yeah, just to formalize whatever we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now we just have the memorandum of understanding with the Friends group. That lays out their requirements and our requirements, but it's not with the actual field usage. It'll be good to bring that back when we're talking about the field prices at the next meeting.
All right, number 7, remarks from committee members. Any remarks?
Do you have any additional remarks, Sean?
Yeah, did you have any additional staff? I'm sorry, I missed the staff. Remarks from staff?
No, just stay warm.
Sean was talking, I'm like, well, that's a remark from staff.
No, just stay warm and hopefully it'll be warmer by our next meeting, right?
Oh my goodness, let's hope.
Remarks from the committee members. Any announcements?
No.
We'll adjourn the meeting.
Take a motion.
I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passes.
Meeting adjourned at
Meeting adjourned at 5:36.
Does anybody vote, that's ever vote and not in the meeting?
I don't think so.
Thank you.